President Trump is casting aside those who might stand in his way.
Why do you think the country thinks you're biased?
Extreme right-wing hate speech meant to brand opponents as molesters grooming children for sex.
Why do you think the country thinks you're biased?
It's too soon to tell how serious President Trump is in defiance of the Constitution.
Why do you think the country thinks you're biased?
Scott Pelley, longtime correspondent for CBS News, says he doesn't think he's biased. He's shocked that he was shown the door.
Explain to me exactly how you felt.
Shock, dismay, impossible to believe, searching desperately for an explanation. It's like your spouse was murdered. No one saw the Black Thursday massacre coming.
Now, you can call him pompous or performative or arrogant or theatrical.
He went on a podcast and called you a stiff.
I'm surprised
And
that the President of the United States would bother to notice, but okay. Please tell me. I'm not aware of this. Saved my life in a firefight in Iraq. But this is like somebody walking up to me and saying, there's a 747, there are 400 people on it, we need you to fly it to Paris. Newsrooms are sort of like the military or the police. It is a life-threatening job in many instances.
He can't see how skewed his worldview is.
How could it be okay if it's askew?
But in this moment, this morning, our sacred rule of law is under attack. Journalism is under attack. Universities are under attack. Freedom of speech is under attack. And insidious fear is reaching through our schools, our businesses, our homes, and into our private thoughts.
Why do you think the country thinks you're biased?
This feels very different to me this time around because what we were talking about in the Clinton impeachment was the president's private behavior. This is about the president using the power of his office and whether...
Cool Whip, you're saying it weird.
And whether he leaned on a foreign government to help in his 2020 campaign.
Why do you think the country thinks you're biased?
Moms for Liberty is part of the pushback against the diversity and inclusion movement. Moms supports new Florida laws that limit lessons on race and forbid lessons on sexual orientation and gender identity through high school.
Grooming does not seem like a word that you want to take on.
Young actors, take note of the emotion on demand and the situational awareness to remember the sophisticated silent H while simultaneously maintaining gender nonspecific language. It's Oscar-worthy.
There are people in that room who go to war zones when they are pregnant.
Cool Whip.
Remember when 60 Minutes artfully edited that Kamala Harris interview to try to make her sound like she made sense? The one that ended up with CBS's parent company paying Trump $16 million to settle claims of election interference? Well, watch this exchange between Pelley and Moms for Liberty. Does this seem like a natural point-counterpoint exchange to you?
Grooming does not seem like a word that you want to take on.
You know, we did some polling and we really wanted to know, where are the American people on this issue of parental rights and what's happening in our schools?
A book review website called Book Looks, founded 2 years ago by a Florida nurse. Across the country, book bans are being demanded based on Book Looks' amateur volunteer reviews, often in the hands of Moms for Liberty.
Parents have the right to determine what their children are taught and what they're allowed to read. No doubt about it. But what we're having a problem with is parents that want to determine what other parents' rights are for their children to read what they want.
Now, this guy's one of my favorite recurring characters that they like to send in from the left. Meek and mild-mannered, unassuming, and he sounds reasonable. Pelley makes a big show of telling the viewer that the guy's a retired colonel or something and that he's a Republican, but he doesn't sound like any Republican I know.
Diversity breeds tolerance. The more you understand what other people think and realize that what they say is important, but who they are, what their story, what their background is, the more you know that, the more you see the power of diversity, and then be kind and be understanding, and don't make judgments because you haven't lived their story. They have.
I'm nauseous. Jesus. Oh, fuck.
Ultimately, Buford confronted fear and ignorance with civility and knowledge. The town asked volunteers to actually read the books. In meetings that looked like book clubs, over the course of a year, 146 community volunteers, plus teachers and librarians, discussed, deliberated, and voted.
Please be seated.
The board wanted to follow established procedures, but a few activists, agitated by conspiracy theories, threatened librarians and board members, calling them groomers, extreme right-wing hate speech.
She, I am told, said something to the effect of, "Why do you think the country thinks you're biased?" But she didn't offer any kind of a metric. You know, what's your metric? Why do you think so? Do you have a poll? Is there market research? What are you talking about? Because we certainly didn't believe that.
Remember how we mentioned the $16 million CBS's parent company paid to Trump for, what was it again, jaywalking, parking in front of a fire hydrant? No, election interference. Here's Pelley's response to that one.
President Trump had sued 60 Minutes over an interview of Vice President Kamala Harris during the 2024 election. Paramount under Sherry Redstone settled the case, and they paid $16 million to the president.
They bribed the president to get the deal done. The very last thing that the previous ownership did was pay a multi-million-dollar bribe to the president to settle this frivolous, ridiculous lawsuit. Why do you think the country thinks you're biased? On the video, you see the officers standing slightly off the front of the car, and you clearly see Miss Good's wheels turned completely as far as they will go, away from the officer. But he shoots her in the head, kills her, and says something about her in that moment that I can't repeat in polite company.
Pelley's Renee Good coverage conveniently left out that she blocked the patrol car with her own when they were stuck in the snow, interfering with a law enforcement operation. This seasoned journalist is leaving out the real legal question, which isn't whether she intended to hit the officer. Her intent doesn't matter. Even if she was trying to get away, driving your car at a federal agent is an actionable assault. Under Fourth Amendment law, an officer can use deadly force against a fleeing suspect if he has a reasonable belief that that person poses a significant threat of death or serious injury to him or someone else. And in a split second, you can't take that risk.
But I've been in combat for this country, in Afghanistan and Iraq, Kuwait, been shot at. It's been enormously stressful.
As a reporter, I've learned to respect opinions.
Ultimately, Buford confronted fear and ignorance with civility and knowledge.
Why do you think the country thinks you're biased?
America works well when we listen to those that we disagree with, where we listen to those and we disagree with and have common ground.
Here's something I've discovered using Grok. I can ask simple questions like, did Pelley ever push the COVID shot? Did he run any pieces praising Anthony Fauci? Did he promote 6 feet of separation or attack ivermectin? And Grok will tell me on this date he had this guest and they encouraged viewers to get the vaccine or to defend the 6-foot rule or dismiss alternative treatments. But when I go searching for those clips, I can't find them.
I fear there may be some people in the audience who don't want to hear what I have to say today.
Call it what you want. They don't want you revisiting what they told you to believe just a few years ago. So to Mr. Pelley, good riddance.